I'm a man. I cry too. I just don't tell anyone. I cried in my car yesterday, full on, ugly crying, where your face gets all blotchy and you can't catch your breath. It was in the parking lot, which sounds stupid when I say it out loud, but my mom had just called and told me my dog Rex wasn't doing well. The dog I've had since college, who sleeps on my bed even though he's too big and takes up 3/4 of the space. And I just broke, sitting there between a minivan and some dude's lifted truck, crying about a 12-year-old golden retriever who probably has maybe 6 months left. You know, honestly, I don't think most people know that men cry, like really cry, not just tearing up at movies or getting emotional during sports, but full body, can't breathe, everything hurts kind of crying. Maybe it's just me, but I was raised to believe that crying was something you did in private, quickly, and then never talked about. My dad never cried in front of me, not once. Not when his dad died, not when he got laid off, not even when our house got broken into, and they stole my mom's jewelry that belonged to her grandmother. He just handled it, jaw tight, eyes forward, fixing whatever could be fixed, and enduring whatever couldn't. And I learned that. I learned that being a man meant swallowing everything down until it disappeared. Except it doesn't disappear. It just sits there, builds up, turns into this weight in your chest that you carry everywhere. Last month I had a panic attack at work. Real one, not just feeling stressed. I couldn't breathe, my hands shaking. I thought I was having a heart attack. I had to lock myself in the bathroom for 20 minutes until it passed. When I came out, my coworker Jason asked if I was okay. I told him I had food poisoning. Food poisoning. Because that felt easier than explaining that sometimes my brain decides that everything is falling apart and my body follows along. Honestly. I think the hardest part isn't the crying itself. It's the shame that comes after. Like I'll have a moment where I'm completely overwhelmed. Maybe it's work stress, maybe it's relationship stuff, maybe it's just one of those days where everything feels too heavy, and I'll cry, really cry. And for those few minutes, it actually feels good, like I'm letting something out that needed to come out. But then it's over, and immediately I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with you? You're a grown man. Get it together. You know what's crazy? Women talk about crying like it's normal, like it's healthy. They'll say things like, I had a good cry last night, or sometimes you just need to let it out. And I'm over here acting like it's some shameful secret that I teared up watching that commercial with the dog who waits for his owner who's never coming home. Maybe it's just me, but I think we're all walking around pretending we don't feel things as deeply as we actually do. Like my friend Mike told me his girlfriend broke up with him and he said it like it was no big deal. Just shrugged and said, yeah, it wasn't working out anyway. But I know Mike. I know he really loved her. I know he was planning to propose next year. And I wanted to ask him, dude, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? But instead I just said, yeah, probably for the best. And we moved on to talking about football. Because that's what we do. We skim the surface of our actual feelings and pretend that's enough. Honestly, the only time I ever see men be really honest about crying is when someone dies. Like at funerals, suddenly it's okay. Suddenly everyone's crying and no one's apologizing for it. But grief isn't the only thing that deserves tears. I cried when my nephew was born, and I held him for the first time. Cried because he was so small and perfect, and I couldn't believe something that beautiful existed in the world. I cried when I got promoted at work last year, not because I was sad, but because I'd worked so hard for so long and finally someone noticed. I cry sometimes when I'm driving and a song comes on that reminds me of high school, when everything felt possible and I thought I had my whole life figured out. I cried watching my little sister graduate from college because I was so proud of her, and also because I realized she didn't need me anymore the way she used to. You know, maybe it's just me, but I think crying is just feeling things fully, and there's nothing weak about that. The other night I was texting with this girl I've been seeing, Sarah, and she was telling me about this fight she had with her best friend. She said I cried for like an hour, felt so much better after. And I wanted to tell her that I cry too, that I understand that feeling of everything building up until it has to come out. But instead I just said, that sucks. Hope you guys work it out. Because what if she thinks I'm too emotional? What if she thinks I'm weak? What if she stops seeing me as someone who can protect her and starts seeing me as someone who needs protecting? Honestly, I hate that I think like that. I hate that somewhere in my brain there's this voice that says crying makes me less of a man. Because logically, I know that's garbage. I know that feeling things deeply doesn't make me weak. I know that vulnerability is actually brave. But knowing something and feeling something are two different things. Last week I was watching this documentary about veterans coming home from deployment. And this one guy, tough-looking dude, covered in tattoos, was talking about his depression. And he just started crying right there on camera, talking about how he can't sleep, how he jumps at loud noises, how he feels disconnected from his family. And instead of thinking he was weak, I thought he was the bravest person I'd ever seen. But when it comes to myself, when it comes to my own tears, I still feel like I need to hide them. Maybe it's just me, but I think part of the problem is that we're taught that men are supposed to be the strong ones, the fixers, the protectors. And crying feels like the opposite of that. Crying feels like admitting that you can't handle something. But what if crying is actually a different kind of strength? What if it takes more courage to feel everything than to feel nothing? What if the strongest thing you can do is admit that you're human? Honestly, I'm tired of pretending that I don't have feelings. I'm tired of acting like things don't affect me when they absolutely do. I'm tired of saying I'm fine when I'm not fine. I'm tired of making jokes when I want to be serious. I'm tired of changing the subject when someone gets too close to asking how I'm really doing. So here's the truth. I'm a man. And I cry. I cry when I'm sad, obviously, but also when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm grateful, when I'm proud, when I'm scared, sometimes even when I'm happy. I cry in my car more than anywhere else. Something about being alone in that small space makes it feel safe. I cry in the shower sometimes because the sound of the water covers up any noise I might make. I cried last week reading a book about a father and son because it reminded me of my relationship with my dad and all the things we've never said to each other. I cry watching movies where the good guy doesn't win, where love isn't enough, where life is unfair in ways that feel too real. And afterwards I always feel lighter, like I've been carrying around this weight and finally set it down for a few minutes. Maybe it's just me, but I think the world would be a better place if more men cried. If we admitted when we're scared, when we're hurt, when we don't have all the answers. If we stopped pretending that strength means never breaking down and started understanding that sometimes breaking down is the only way to break through. So I'm telling everyone now, I'm a man. I cry too. I just don't tell anyone. But maybe it's time to start.